questions raised about the Director of National Intelligence, former Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard, over where she says is her main residence and where she actually voted in the 2024 general election. Months before Gabbard cast her ballot in her home state of Hawaii, Gabbard and her husband declared under oath that their residency in Texas, after buying a home in the Lone Star State and claiming a homestead tax break. CNN's Kyung La examines Gabbard's actions by taking a look at the voting laws in Hawaii and the property tax laws in Texas.
Months before Tulsi Gabbard was sworn in as a director of national intelligence, in the midst of her transformation from independent to Trump supporter.
Thank you.
Congratulations. In March 2024, she bought a home in the politically red state of Texas. Soon after, the background on some of her frequent Fox News appearances changed from the slope of Oahu's Diamond Head crater.
You see them out pushing this so-called woke agenda
to a view of the Texas state capitol.
This is personal for me, this endorsement of President Trump.
A CNN investigation found that Gabbard declared herself a Texas resident, but voted in Hawaii in the presidential election last November. Experts say that raises questions about whether she voted improperly.
Voter integrity is a serious concern and a serious issue.
On the campaign trail for Donald Trump last year, Gabbard talked about election security on stage.
We need to be able to have trust and confidence in the fact that when we cast our vote, that our ballot will be counted in the way that we have cast it.
It's where Gabbard cast her ballot that's the issue here. Gabbard rents a home in Hawaii. She's lived in the Aloha State for many years. In March 2024, Gabbard bought a home in a suburb of Austin, Texas. In June 2024, she and her husband declared under oath that we are residents of the state of Texas, and their Texas home was designated as the family homestead. And she also claimed a homestead tax exemption on the house. But in the 2024 general election, Gabbard cast her ballot in Hawaii, and that's potentially a problem. Under Hawaiian election rules, an individual can only have one residence for voting purposes. And if the voter has more than one home, there is a presumption that the property that gets the tax exemption is the person's residence. Now remember, Gabbard designated her Texas home as a family homestead months before the general election. What is the problem here?
The problem appears to be that Ms. Gabbard is claiming that she's a resident of Hawaii, that she is eligible to vote on Hawaii races in Hawaii because that's where she lives. And she's also at the same time claiming that she's a resident of Texas.
Gabbard's office tells CNN that she took the Texas homestead exemption as a first step to hiding her address because of security concerns. In a letter to CNN, her attorney said Director Gabbard was, is, and intends to remain a Hawaii resident. That is where she lives, pays taxes, and, of course, votes. Any suggestion that she is no longer a resident because she took the advice of local officials to register a homestead exemption to protect her and her family's privacy is flat wrong, factually and legally.
Sometimes there are these disconnects between where you're laying your head most of the time and where you're registered to vote. But it's very different to claim a tax exemption on a primary residence. That's an indication that that's where you really live, and therefore that's where you should be registered.
So what's the bottom line here for Gabbard? Well, we spoke with a Hawaiian election lawyer who's handled multiple election residency cases. He says theoretically she could face a challenge to her Hawaiian voter registration, Jake, but someone would have to file that challenge with Hawaii officials.